the Baltimore job is number one.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, period. You got your quarterback. But I think after that, Steelers is the second best job. And I say, obviously, they don't have a quarterback. Some of these other teams don't as well. But that stability, like you go there, you know. And honestly, if you're so bad they get rid of you in a year or two, that just means you weren't ready. They picked the wrong guy. I think they're going to give you a chance, a legitimate chance to be their coach for the next 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And they take pride in the fact that they've only had 3 coaches since 1969. So the last thing they want to do is hire somebody and get on that cycle of, hiring all these different coaches. So, the stability there, I think, makes it number one. And look, they got about $40 million, I think, they can spend in free agency. That could increase if they do, as Nick suggested yesterday, start trading away some of the older players. I just think it's obviously a great organization. I even think the fan base, after years of being good but not great and making the playoffs and winning 10 games and losing in the first round, I think they'll be fine with a rebuild year.
Okay.
Maybe 2, year and a half, something like that. But I just think you get the job security that you may not get in other places.
Yeah, I think if I were ranking attractiveness of jobs, which I'm going to give my full list in a second, but if I were one of the coaches, you have to approach it from a place of realism across the league, not optimism, which is half of these jobs you might not even want your wife and kids to move for.
Yeah.
Like
half
of these,
we're renting.
You're right. Like if you had high school age kids, you might be like,
oh yeah,
it's going to be tough, but I don't want to pull you out because, again, 14 of the 32 teams fired their coach either this season or 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. And one of those teams did it twice. So for the almost half the league has changed coaches in the last 2 seasons. And when I go over this list, I think you're going to see how being a head coach somewhere for 5 years means, man, you must have done something really good. And so the fact that the Steelers and the Ravens to an extent, but really the Steelers because of the long history of it, have a reputation of you are going to get real time. That is the best thing that's going for it, and it's why it's going to be high on my list, KW.
Okay, here we go. Here's the list.
9-1, worst to best. The worst job opening is the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh.
Wow. Just awful ownership, a brutal division. They have $136 million cap dollars still to pay Deshaun Watson.
That's ridiculous.
136.
How many years is that?
He has 1 year left.
No, but I mean, how on the cap? How many years left is that on the cap?
Well, they split. It's going to be technically he has this year and then a massive void charge. It's a disaster. Is the short version of it.
Andrew Berry.
And I would also listen. If you really think Shador is a star, then you pump him up. I think Shador is actually, if I'm looking at jobs, almost for a future head coach, a potential net negative just in that.
All right. You know what? I wanted to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers situation at this moment. This entire process is simply dragging on for too long. I'll be forthright with you. Considering all the head coaching vacancies currently available, the Steelers' position absolutely should be ranked at the very top of the list. There is no ambiguity about that. If you examine the opportunity in Las Vegas, you are obligated to navigate the influence of Tom Brady. And as we know, circumstances can become quite unconventional under those conditions. Viewing it from my perspective, as a man with a family, a wife, and children, similar to the scenario Nick was outlining, if I am a coach genuinely intent on constructing something meaningful, it also depends on whether I am a seasoned veteran or a relatively new coach. But let's assume I am an ascending candidate looking to establish a legacy, truly aiming to make my mark and achieve success. In that case, I want the Pittsburgh job. I do not want the Baltimore position. I have no desire to manage the complexities surrounding Lamar Jackson and everything that entails, because it would never fully become my team. It would not embody my culture. I would be unable to effectively impart my philosophy because the environment would be dominated by Lamar, Lamar, Lamar. That does not interest me. I want to go to Pittsburgh. The fan base is phenomenal. The ownership is stellar. They are poised to embark on a new chapter and build something fresh. I wouldn't have to contend with any of the extraneous drama regarding a franchise quarterback. Will they commit? Won't they? What's the narrative? What isn't? It's straightforward. I arrive, I am present, and I am prepared to commence. It is a situation where I can instill stability. I want no association with Arizona. The ownership situation is terrible. Miami is fascinating because it's Miami, right? South Beach is undoubtedly appealing. However, from a pure football standpoint, if I am entirely focused on the sport and live for football, which, as a coach, is paramount, then Pittsburgh is the answer. It is a phenomenal football city, an incredible football town. New York is another major market, but they already have their general manager in place. Regrettably, the owner is not in good health currently, which introduces uncertainty. I am unsure how confident I would feel about the stability of that organization. Collaborating with a talent like Jackson Dart would be exciting, but the overarching concerns remain. Then you have the Tennessee Titans, which could be a solid opportunity. Again, there is nothing inherently problematic with franchises like the Atlanta Falcons or the Tennessee Titans. I am simply drawn to the concept of going to Pittsburgh and initiating a complete reboot. I would have the chance to draft the quarterback I desire. I could reconfigure the roster, moving on from veteran pieces like TJ Watt, because at this juncture, you are pressing the reset button. You are initiating a full rebuild. You will have a substantial amount of capital, immense freedom, and significant flexibility. My perspective is, yes, I will arrive. The upcoming season will be challenging. We will incur losses, which will position us favorably in the draft order, and then, boom, I will select my franchise quarterback, and we will commence our ascent in earnest. It would be a clear, structured plan. When you undertake such a venture, as with anything substantial in life, it is not merely a one-year strategy. It is a 5-year plan, a 10-year vision. If you converse with any of these billionaire owners, they comprehend that reality perfectly. They understand there is no such thing as a 6-month roadmap to greatness. It is a 3 to 5 year undertaking. It requires time. It demands patience. Suppose I am a coach evaluating a prospect like Cam Ward and feeling genuine excitement. In that case, Las Vegas remains an interesting possibility. You could potentially go there and circumvent some of the typical rebuilding phases. However, again, as a coach, I would be somewhat apprehensive. I would need to ascertain the extent of Tom Brady's influence, which appears to be considerable. Reports suggest he aims to dictate aspects of the offensive scheme. That is what makes me uncomfortable about that scenario. If I were a Raiders fan, perhaps I wouldn't mind, thinking, hey, it's Tom Brady, his input is better than nothing. But as a head coach, I am my own man. Unless I met with Tom and we discovered complete alignment in our vision, and I was eager to integrate the knowledge he's accumulated over his career, because I am not egotistical, I would be intrigued by that collaboration. I simply would not want to be in a position where Tom dictates, this is the system I want you to run. You must cease doing this and that. I would think, buddy, I love you. You're the greatest of all time, but you must allow me to execute my responsibilities. You must permit me to realize my vision. I would also wonder about his physical presence. How frequently is he in the facility? How often is he addressing the team? I need to feel that I am the authority here, that I command this team. If I perpetually sense someone peering over my shoulder, it is a difficult way to exist. It is a challenging way to coach, because when you are the head coach, you must be the unifying force. You need to be the leader on the field, off the field, in every capacity. That is why many coaches develop sizable egos. It is often a byproduct of the command and control they must exert. It is a necessity, though it can inflate one's self-importance. You genuinely require that unequivocal authority, and I am uncertain if you attain that in Las Vegas. That is my primary concern. I equally doubt you secure it in Baltimore because of Lamar's towering presence. I recognize Baltimore Ravens fans might become anxious, particularly Lamar's supporters, who may question, what are you implying about Lamar? They became incensed previously when I suggested the Ravens require a coach capable of holding Lamar accountable. They were outraged. My response was, Have you ever participated in organized sports? Holding players accountable is a fundamental duty of a coach. Literally, Andy Reid holds Patrick Mahomes accountable, Bill Belichick held Tom Brady accountable, Sean McVay holds Matthew Stafford accountable. So, are you suggesting Lamar Jackson is the sole quarterback who does not require accountability? If you genuinely believe that, and if Lamar believes that, then you have precisely validated my point. I want no part of that environment. Why do you think teams employ a multitude of coaches? Why is there an offensive coordinator, a quarterback's coach, an assistant quarterback's coach? Why does Lamar review film with other coaches and personnel? It is for accountability. It is how a successful structure operates. Therefore, the prospect of going to Pittsburgh, starting entirely anew with inherent stability, a phenomenal fan base, and the ability to attract free agents because it is a destination players want to join, is exceptionally appealing. I am not convinced you fully obtain that in some of the other locations. Ultimately, it depends on what you construct. However, if I also assess it from a personal lifestyle standpoint, cities like Atlanta are quite pleasant. Miami is desirable. Tennessee is agreeable. You might think, all right, there are other locales where the climate is more temperate, and so forth. I have resided in Pittsburgh. I truly enjoyed my time there, but it is frequently overcast. I did not appreciate the prevalence of cloudy days. There is also a considerable amount of wet snow. The terrain is remarkably hilly, extremely so. It is cloudy and hilly. Many people do not realize the topography. There are numerous steep inclines. It is an affordable city, but as a head coach, I would be earning a substantial salary, so affordability is irrelevant. It would mean I am financially secure. Regarding New York, the potential to coach in that market is significant. It is New York City, a massive, global metropolis. If you achieve success there, you essentially conquer the world. Perhaps my bias stems from having lived in Pittsburgh. My mind instinctively gravitates toward it. I am familiar with the stadium atmosphere. I understand the character of the fan base. I resided there when they secured their most recent Super Bowl victory, so I experienced that passion alongside them. I know the intensity. I know what the community offers. I've even met one of the Rooney family members. So, honestly, that is where my thoughts lead. Toward a great city, a first-class organization, a passionate fan base. The weather, while cold as an East Coast city, is not extreme. It is not as though you are besieged by brutal conditions in December or January. It is manageable. I appreciate the current openness of the Steelers organization. I value the structure in terms of what I would be permitted to accomplish, how I could navigate the role, the degree of authority I would possess to operate, to hire my preferred staff, and to manage the team according to my vision. I am not entirely confident I would receive that level of autonomy in some other franchises. Just consider New York. Even if the general manager there has consolidated power, they moved on from Saquon Barkley and are navigating the Daniel Jones situation. Often, coaches prefer to collaborate with their own appointed GMs. So that is where my reasoning directs me. This was essentially Nick's comprehensive list. I would likely rank Atlanta highly as well. They possess a terrific fan base. To be honest, I will probably create separate videos delving into each individual opening. That is likely what I will end up doing. There is only a finite amount to analyze at this current juncture. I have also been somewhat reluctant because everyone is incessantly discussing Mike Tomlin. Let me conclude on this point. Observe the imbalance in the media conversation. Jim Harbaugh was released by the Chargers, and that was a storyline for perhaps 5 seconds. Mike Tomlin, thankfully he is in excellent health, but the manner in which his situation is being dissected, with half of Colin Cowherd's show dedicated to him, you would think his health had severely declined. He is healthy and well, but the sheer volume of discourse surrounding the Steelers and Mike Tomlin is astronomical compared to the attention Harbaugh's departure received. That is merely my perception of the media landscape. But those are simply my viewpoints. I would be absolutely delighted to hear yours. What are all of your thoughts concerning the Pittsburgh Steelers? How elevated do you believe the Steelers' head coaching vacancy ranks among the current openings? Please inform me of your opinions in the comments section below. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or challenge me, either way, let's engage in some discussions. Let's engage in some debates. But ultimately, let's simply enjoy the discourse. Please consider subscribing. We are constructing an incredible community here, and I would absolutely cherish seeing you as part of it. I aim to build something to which we all feel a genuine connection, something we are truly excited to be involved with. I believe we are steadily progressing toward achieving that. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely assists with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.